I feel like people are going to hate me. But I need to stop caring about that because it's just the truth and it's how I feel. And sometimes it's scary to be on the internet because you're misunderstood and people are taking what you say out of context. And it scares me because I am afraid of everything. Literally everything. Hey guys, so today's video, I'm going to be sitting down, I'm going to be having my coffee, I'm going to be doing my makeup, and I'm going to be talking to you about all of the makeup that I will not be purchasing and or did not appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. Today I'm going to be doing an anti-haul, which was originated, I believe, by Kimberly Clark here on YouTube. An anti-haul, if you don't know, is basically talking about all of the products that I'm not going to buy and why. And there's a lot of new things that have launched. Okay, this has been the year, the decade of launches. I think that in the world of makeup, there are so many launches because brands have really realized that it's the way for the dollar. Money is a driving force for a lot of people, and makeup brings in money. I think we've all seen that recently, especially. And while I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a bad thing, let's call a spade, there's too much fucking makeup. I just think that I've mentioned this many times, and it's no surprise to anybody that I think that there is just too many launches right now, and what I'm about to talk about I think really clearly shows this. I am not the first to make videos about this topic, but I wanted to add my 2 cents because, well, I'm a loudmouth. I'm not going to talk about the products I'm using because I don't want to. I think that this has been an ongoing conversation that a lot of people have been having, and that is about just the insane amount of launches and makeup being released and new makeup brands sprouting out every day, it seems. And every moment it seems like a new celebrity is coming out with a makeup line. Every moment it seems like brands are releasing new products. And whereas it used to be that we would go a few months or at least a month in between releases, I'm talking like every week now. ColourPop is the main brand that does this. I mean, they know they do it. They talk about it often. I think I recall somebody saying that ColourPop mentioned that they were like the fast fashion of makeup. And I mean, I don't know if that's something to strive for, but I would have to wholly agree. I love ColourPop and I think their products are really high quality and also really low price. I'm not saying that I think that it's good, but it makes it a little bit more acceptable when they are accessible to a lot more people, given that they're a lower price point. But when brands like Anastasia Beverly Hills start doing the exact same thing as ColourPop, it's when I start going, hold up, wait a minute, what? The first products that I am not going to purchase are going to be the Norvina palettes. I have had a bunch of people reach out to me and ask me, why haven't you reviewed the Jackie Aina palette? Are you purposefully not reviewing it? No. So I tweeted about the Jackie Aina palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills right when I saw that it was coming out, probably like a month ago, which is to show you how many products have released since then. And maybe a month and a half ago. And I tweeted about it, and I was told that I was going to be on the Anastasia Beverly Hills PR list. I don't receive normal PR from them. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just giving context here so that it makes sense. I don't receive normal PR from ABH. Never have. But I was told I would be getting the Jackie Aina palette in PR. So I was waiting for it and like following up and stuff. I never did receive it. So I did buy it. I have it here. I have not used it yet because it just arrived in the mail, I think like last week. And so I will be using that in the upcoming future, but that's the only reason why I have not talked about the palette so far is because I was waiting on it and it never came. I did, however, just receive the Carli Bybel palette, which is interesting. I didn't get Jackie's, but I did get Carli's. But I will tell you that I feel, and I think a lot of people agree with me on this, maybe not everybody, and I think that that's where it's great that we all have different opinions about everything. This is just my opinion, and you can feel free to disagree with me. But I think Anastasia Beverly Hills has released far too much makeup in a short amount of time. I believe, and I might be wrong on my timeline here, but I believe Norvina Volume 1 released and everyone was loving that and it was exciting. And then Jackie Aina's palette got released and everybody was really excited about that. But I feel like not a week or 2 weeks later, Norvina Volume 2 and 3 were announced. And then Carli Bybel like a week and a half later. And to me, it just was too fast. It didn't give each launch enough time for people to be excited about it, try it for crying out loud. And then I saw a tweet from Norvina that said, and I quote, somebody asked, Norvina, I love this new palette, but why are you guys launching so much? It takes away excitement if new products come out every week. And Norvina replied, it's just the way the market is now. We have to launch new stuff all the time because consumers get bored and they want more choices. Also, there's different consumers. So for instance, all of the Norvina palettes that you saw recently are the launch of a new brand within the ABH brand, which I don't think was clear from their marketing or anything like that for the average consumer. I don't think most of us saw that and thought, oh yeah, this is a brand within the brand. To me, it just felt like overwhelming. And so instead of wanting to buy any of them, I'm not going to get any of it. And now I did buy the Jackie Aina palette. I've got the Carli Bybel palette, so that's awesome. One of those moments where I realized as a consumer that I get that whole, I must have it because what if I miss out? It's like the fear of missing out type of thing for makeup, which I think is a huge problem that I need to address within myself. That's absolutely stupid. I have more palettes than I could ever use in a lifetime. And to me, this isn't any shade to ABH. They can run their brand however they want. I'm just giving my opinion. It really turns me off when there are so many launches. And to say like, oh, well, people get bored. I don't think that's necessarily a great reason to release palettes as often as they have been. It's just overwhelming. And I think that my point isn't to not release those palettes, because sure, release whatever you want. Release all of those exact same palettes, but give them time. That's what I was thinking. Like if they had spaced all of those out over 8 months, that would even be different because it would have given Jackie's palette time to shine. It would have given Norvina Volume 1 time in the spotlight, people to create looks, do more tutorials. Take those palettes that you are releasing so often and start doing more helpful tutorials for people with those palettes on your socials instead of just launching more and more to give people more and more and more and more. I think it would be more beneficial if the brands started doing looks with their palettes, tons of them, like on your YouTube channel, do more tutorials, do more things on your Instagram, do on your Instagram stories, have other artists talking about the palette, and then people will know how to use those previous palettes and you'll probably sell more of those. I don't know. And maybe this is just coming from a place of the consumer. I'm looking at the consumer here. I can't really side with a brand here because I don't sell anything. I don't have any products for sale. I've never tried to do anything like that before. So for me, I always take the spot of the consumer in all of this. I always look at the people purchasing the products, not the brands. While I get why they are launching so often, people get bored. That is not the general consensus that I've seen online. And I wonder if you guys agree with me. I don't know what people are getting bored of a launch every 2 weeks. It's more acceptable if you're ColourPop because ColourPop's pricing permits. Although I have mentioned to ColourPop, like y'all, you release too much makeup. They do a launch every Friday, but they're not going to change. That's the way that they are. And I'm going to just work with that accordingly. Like I'm not going to be able to do a ColourPop review every single week. They just launch too much product and then it would make me a ColourPop channel. When ColourPop does it, they've done it since the beginning. That's been who they are. They're inexpensive. They've kept their prices down and kept their quality up. Anastasia Beverly Hills is not ColourPop prices. They can't really expect to launch as often and have the morale be as high as with, like, even ColourPop hears it, man. They hear so much shit all the time about how often they launch. And I think that that's just part of their shtick at this point, and maybe it is for ABH too. But tell me if there are certain brands, like I'll use Hourglass for example, and I've talked about this before. So if you guys have heard me say this, well, you're gonna hear it again. Hourglass is one of those brands for me that launches the exact perfect amount of product. They launch beautiful, well thought out launches. In fact, I talked about this in a recent video and was like, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend it for $80. And while I still think $80 is a hefty price tag on this. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost. I've been using it every time I do my makeup. So if that goes to show, like, do I think it's overpriced? Absolutely. Do I think it's beautiful? Fuck yeah. But here's the thing, is that Hourglass is a great example of how to launch product. They thoughtfully put time, effort, and time is the number one most important thing into each launch. And I feel like I'm not overwhelmed with them, so that when I see a product from them, I'm excited about it. I'm ready to try it. With ABH launching so many palettes so quickly, I'm overwhelmed. There's too many shades, there's too many palettes to choose from. The color schemes are all over the place. And I just feel like instead of wanting to try it at all, I want to do the exact opposite and never buy them again. Like I just feel so overwhelmed. And I've even seen that to be the case. And that's what I feel to be sad, is I feel like they've launched so much that it really put Carli Bybel's palette and Jackie Aina's palette really under the radar, where that's not really fair. Like they worked on these collaborations and they were excited about these launches, and then I feel like they were overshadowed by just the sheer amount of launches that ABH has done. And it really just like stole the spotlight away from what shouldn't have had to happen. ABH was one of those brands, like for me, sorry that I'm complaining so much about ABH, but that's what these videos kind of come off as. And if they come off too complaining, like whatever, it's how I feel and it's how it is. Anastasia is one of those brands that when I got into makeup, it didn't matter what they launched. It didn't matter if it was a palette that looked very similar to the last palette. They were perfectly spread out enough that I would buy every single one, and I have them all. But when things started ramping up and their launches started to become more frequent and everything just started cascading, all I can say is that I completely quit buying anything from the brand. To me, and I don't know if you guys agree with me on this front, it's just too much. So I think that the products look like they perform really beautifully. I think they look really high quality. I think that if the products had launched like one and then you give it 3 months and then another and then you give it 3 months and another, I probably would have purchased every single one of them. But just the sheer amount, how much they're in your face, it's moved from this one onto the next one. Oh, Norvina Volume 1, that's old news. Now on to the next one. I love ColourPop as a brand, again, for all the reasons I mentioned before, but they do launch just too many products. I don't know. For me, I understand why they do it, and I think that people are overwhelmed with the amount of launches that they are coming out with, though, and I hear it all the time. People being like, slow down. I think that what this brings us down to is the feeling that we all need to buy everything, and that's why it feels to us like these brands need to slow down, because we are makeup collectors, we are makeup lovers, and we want to buy everything. And I think what this is going to show me, at least, and what I'm noticing from it, is that I don't need any of it. And that's probably the exact opposite of what the brands are trying to do here. When we're telling ColourPop and ABH to slow down, maybe it's that we need to quit buying makeup, because it's like, do they need to slow down so that we can buy it all? Or do we need to quit buying makeup and just use what we have? And that's probably realistically what it comes down to. Nevertheless, I still feel the need to mention it because, I don't know, I just feel like I've seen so many people talking about it. I don't think that I am the only one who feels this way about the amount of launches that have come out. I feel like this is very common and people are talking about this left and right. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? I would love to know. Do you guys agree with Norvina on this front? I mean, it's her brand. Obviously, like, she has the vision for the company and what they want it to be, and that's perfectly acceptable. But I guess this is the time where we can all choose for ourselves to say like, it just feels like a little bit much. And I think maybe, no, because I'm even thinking about like myself a few years ago, like would I have felt this same way if this was 2015? I don't know, things were just so different back then. Like times have changed so much. Like whereas something would have been a really exciting launch back then, I think that just given the sheer amount of companies that have started, it does bog down the industry. It's like, well, I feel like there's a counter argument to this though. And that's that in this same token, while there is so much makeup being put out and it is overwhelming, now there's a huge variety for people to choose from. So while for me, it mostly comes off as like overwhelming and in a negative way, for a lot of people, it could be really positive because they're like, well, now I have options and things to choose from. Before we had like CoverGirl, Maybelline, L'Oreal, and then you had like some brands over at Sephora. But now, because there's so many indie brands and there's so many things being launched, there is more options. But to me, the reason I think that I get frustrated with the amount of launches that come out is because a lot of them aren't standalone, like holy grail products that are going to make their way into everyone's permanent collection. So many products now are limited edition that they're not being created necessarily like to stay in the line and be your still favorite product 5 years from now. I feel like that's how I would so appreciate if companies would really slow down on their releases, but keep the releases that they do put out as permanent collection items. Anyway, that's enough on that. So let's move on to the next items that I will not be buying. So Too Faced is coming out with a collection with Madonna. It looks the least Madonna thing I've ever seen. It's like very similar to the House Labs thing. Like I would have expected so much more. I'm not a fan of Too Faced eyeshadows anyway, and they have a lot of controversy going on right now after the Shane and Jeffree series came out and they talked about what happened with Nikki Tutorials and the contract, which I have known about. Like I feel like that was mentioned a couple of years ago, but now it's kind of re-emerging in the series that just is coming out. And I don't know, I just have no interest in that whole collection. It just looks very lackluster to me. And I think that's the main thing with Too Faced is their eyeshadows, for me at least, are just 6 of one, half dozen of the other. That doesn't make any sense with that. I don't know. I just feel like they don't do anything for me. And I also, the ones that I have used, which I haven't done a Too Faced eye palette review or anything like that in a long time, but I did back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember. It was that like peach collection. It wasn't, I can't remember what it was called. It was like Peach Perfect. I can't remember what it was called. But it made my eyes so irritated. It was so irritating, and it like made my eyes water and red, and it like burned my eyes, and I think that could have been the fragrance inside of it. But I just realized in that moment, I was like, dude, no, these products just aren't for me. The face products too. Like they have some winners. Like I really like the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil Bronzer, but again, that's one of their holy grail products that they released back in the day that everyone is or was obsessed with and made their way into a lot of people's permanent collection and still being used to this day. And for me, I don't know, everything else from them just sort of falls short. I don't know if you guys agree with me. Like the peach highlighters were the worst I've ever used. I love their packaging. Like Too Faced really kills it when it comes to packaging, but it's really the product on the inside for me that matters. While packaging that's really pretty is nice to look at, that's just about it for me. Like I don't need to have like this most incredible packaging. I just want the product inside to be absolutely killer, and the packaging is a really nice touch, but for me personally, it's not absolutely necessary to have like this absolutely luxury packaging that's going to increase the price times 1,000. I'd rather have a good quality product for less money, and I feel like Too Faced is the exact opposite. Their packaging is so stunning, and their product inside, it just falls flat. So I will not be buying that. Kylie x Balmain. I mean, same. Like, it just looks... Balmain is a brand that they're a luxury, like, clothing brand. What do you call them? High-end designer. They have beautiful clothes. Their clothing and their dresses and the designs are stunning from Balmain. But this collection doesn't speak that to me. It just is very, like... You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just feel like it fell short. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too critical when it comes to makeup, and I feel like that's probably the case. It just didn't feel like anything exciting to me whatsoever. And you know what's crazy is like I was looking on Trend Mood to like be like, okay, what am I excited about? What am I not? This was maybe a few days ago. I filmed this video already. I was a total bitch in it. I didn't like my attitude, so I'm refilming it right now. But there's like 50 things that have launched since there's like 100 different things that have launched since I last looked in here. Maybe 150. That's insane. Like, this is nuts to see that this much makeup is releasing. That's the same with Victoria Beckham Beauty. That's a brand that I've had a couple of people be like, are you gonna try this? I don't think I am. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about this. Am I just being a shit? I think I am. It doesn't send me. The branding is pretty. Like, I'm gonna do something to my lips because they're looking crust. Raw Beauty crust. It's not like I am judging it in any way. I don't know. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing me review it to see if the quality is good, because it is my job to review makeup to tell you guys if it's worth your money. So if you guys are interested and that's something you really want to see, I certainly can buy the palettes or the products and see what I think. But the layout of the palettes, even for me, just is not my favorite type. It's like an eyeshadow palette, but they're all in one. They almost like, they don't have like a separator of like pieces. It's just all in one. Editing Kristi here. I just looked up Victoria Beckham Beauty. I didn't realize they were a clean beauty brand really focused in sustainability. I'm reading some things on the website, and I will admit that I didn't know enough when going into this. I just saw it as like another launch, another beauty brand. I actually really appreciate how much they are talking about this on their website. I was reading, talks all about sustainability. It says we're focused on making the most sustainable choices for our products and shipping materials wherever possible. We use post-consumer and recycled materials and minimal plastic. However, we believe we can do better. We're actively engaging resources to incorporate even more post-consumer materials, ocean-bound plastic, and refillable packaging into production. We aren't perfect, but we are committed to partnering with industry leaders in science, technology, and sustainability to set better, cleaner, more ethical standards across beauty, which is really cool. It looks like they're also talking about clean ingredients as well. They're cruelty-free. As your luxury beauty is changing, superior craftsmanship alone is no longer enough. Beauty brands must also be agents of change. The ingredients we put in our formulations matter, because clean products free of harmful toxins should be a universal standard. Our impact on the environment matters, because our world is precious. Making products for everyone matters, because we are only as good as we are inclusive. It is worth taking business risks to do what's right, and that's why, as a beauty brand in motion, we will continuously evolve, improve, and challenge ourselves to be better, which I actually appreciate. So while the products didn't initially maybe stand out to me that much, I wholly appreciate that they care about the cleanliness and toxicity of the makeup and how it's not going to be toxic, and also about the environment. And that's more than I can say for a lot of brands. So Sorry, Victoria Beckham Beauty. Sorry. So the next product that I am not going to be purchasing is the Natasha-Nonna Metropolis palette. Now, it looks really pretty and the colors are pretty, but the thing is about Natasha-Nonna is, let me look this up because I have a feeling this is at least $130. $129 for the Natasha-Nonna Metropolis palette. Now here's the thing about Natasha-Nonna. I don't know in what universe any eyeshadow palette would really be worth that much money. The thing is about makeup is lately especially, things have been being exposed for how much they really cost to make and how much they're being sold for. And I don't know if that was much of a surprise to anybody. I've always known that there's this huge markup in makeup. Of course they're going to do that. And I think that it was a surprise and shock for a lot of people to hear that palettes are produced so inexpensively and marked up and sold by such a huge amount. But the thing is about Natasha-Nonna eyeshadows is that even if, say, the palettes cost more than your average to sell, that's still ridiculously overpriced for a powder pressed into a pan that we're going to rub onto our eyes. I'm sorry, I'm just calling spade a spade. It's fucking expensive. Natasha-Nonna sells some of their other eyeshadow palettes for $240 for eyeshadow. Really, you're paying for the name. It's crazy to me that brands can feel comfortable charging people that much money, and people will pay it. I think because a lot of the times, like, it's one of those situations where it's like makeup collectors are going to collect makeup. That's the thing. I've heard people be like, there's nothing like Natasha-Nonna eyeshadows. I would have to completely disagree with you. I would say that at the end of the day, if I took one and I put it on my left eye and then I took another palette with the same colors and put it on my right, you'd be hard pressed to tell a difference. And I have used her palettes before. I have the Bybel palette, or I think Bybel. It's just all right. For me, at least, when you buy Pat McGrath palettes, the quality feels like it's there within the packaging, but Natasha-Nonna doesn't. Pat McGrath palettes are heavy, they're luxury looking, you open them up and they're stunning, the pan sizes are huge. Still, insanely overpriced, especially knowing just how cheap makeup is to produce. When there's so many affordable, high quality makeup options out there, it's hard for me to recommend something that I know is going to break the bank for many people. And a lot of people aren't going to buy it. If you just can't afford it, you're not going to buy it. And some people like to pay that much for makeup and have luxury makeup. But to me, Natasha-Nonna does not feel luxury at all. When you're using it, it just feels like an average eyeshadow palette. And I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me here. I find that I was nowhere near impressed. Is it a bad eyeshadow palette? No, not at all. Like, the shadows perform. They work. They are pretty colors. But at the end of the day, is it any better than like an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette or a ColourPop or BH Cosmetics? All of those are great shadows. So the answer to me is no. And if you like it, like, do you, feel free. And I think for a lot of people, and I think this is where differing opinion does come in. For a lot of people, they like the feeling of using high quality, luxury, expensive makeup. I watched a sketch one time, it was long ago back in the day, and it was actually really like eye-opening and interesting. And it was of people eating at a really, really ritzy ass restaurant, okay? Like ritzy ass restaurant, but they were serving people Parisian tomatoes grown in the valley of, you know what I mean? They were like serving them like very ritzy food, and it was actually like canned stewed tomatoes from Walmart, great value, on like, you know, Wonder Bread or whatever. But they were like telling them that it was expensive. They were serving them like Franzia boxed wine, but telling them it was like Chateau Hall, you know what I mean, from the Napa Valley region of, and they were tasting it and being like, oh, I can taste the notes of they were like, it was like duping them because they were made to feel like it was expensive and made to feel like it was this really exclusive dining experience. And because of that, they believed what they were told. And like, to me, it just showed how we can really easily be kind of led in one direction, be like, oh no, this is so expensive and exquisite and these ingredients are different, when really it may just be great value tomato sauce, you know? And I think that it was really like eye-opening. I think that's where it comes down to, like, that might be a really weird example. It really was a weird example, but to say, like, when we're told that something is higher quality, I think a lot of times we believe it, but I wonder, is it actually, or is it the exact same ingredients that are in BH Cosmetics? Is it the exact same ingredients? Is it not? I don't know, and I may just be speaking out of turn here, and that certainly could be the case. I always wonder. I have always been one of those people that I'm a skeptic in my heart, and I don't like that I'm like that necessarily, but I feel like it's a good thing in a way to have both ends of the coin. Like, people that believe a lot about what people say and expect the good in people and expect people able to tell them the truth and to be forthcoming. And I think that it's also equally good to have people out there like myself who are incredibly skeptical. Like, I am, in my heart of hearts, like, I believe nothing. In a way, I think that that's a bad thing for myself. I mean, I believe in things, and I have, like, I'm just one of those people who I tend to always question everything. And I think that that's, like, can be a really beneficial thing to be a person like that. But in another way, I think that it can sometimes be for myself at a disservice, because I see everything in the lens of, but really though? But really? Like, is it really? That's why I like it that on YouTube and in this space here, we have people that can kind of be both sides of the coin. Like, some people just love everything and really can see like the awesome, the purpose for everything. And I can see why it's that price. It really is. And then you have people like me that are like, really? Actually? Look at, you can see like the band on this one. I don't feel like that's normally the case with these Cocoa lashes. I'm gonna have to really conceal that with like some liner or something. I feel like you can see the band so clearly. It looks terrible. Another palette that for me, I actually did receive in the mail, but I don't see myself loving it. Maybe I'll do a giveaway with it, or I don't know what I would do. Is the 3502? What is it called? 3503 from Morphe. And it is the palette that is the same as the 350, which is that orangey palette, but it's just got two random lime greens in it. Just the two most random lime greens. When I saw it, I was like, this palette is so bizarre. It makes no sense. I don't know. The greens aren't even like really super wearable greens either. They're like limey. I just feel like if they had half the palette, maybe done half of the palette with the oranges and then half with really unique, really pretty foresty greens or olivey colors that were a lot more wearable. But then it was just like the 350 with two limes in there. To me, I was like, what? Dude, you see those bands? Look at that. This is really helping though. I'm just kind of concealing them. I'm putting a black liner on the little clear spots to make them less noticeable. I feel like it's helping. Today we are going, my friends are coming over. She just bought a couple of little baby bunnies. She already has a bunny and she's going to be introducing them into the household. So I'm excited. We're going to go see baby bunnies. We're going to go eat yummy food and have pumpkin cream cold brews from Starbucks. That's why I'm excited. It sounds like a lovely day. I think that's the majority of the products I'm not going to buy. Most of the time, really, I've been really holding off on buying any new makeup anyway, just for the main reasons that I've already discussed in this video. I just think I'm really getting a lot of joy out of using the products that I really love and getting a ton of use out of them. So like this product, I'm really excited about this. And this is so stupid that I'm this excited, but like, I don't know if you can tell, this is the Fenty Shady Biz bronzer that I love. I've almost hit pan. It's exciting because this doesn't really happen with makeup nowadays, because so much launches. You try new things all the time that things don't become like a true staple in collections anymore, because there's just so many new things that I'm trying all the time. And so when I find a product that I really like, I'm putting it in my makeup bag here. And this is like my go-to makeup bag. This is going to be the thing that I use all the time. It's what I take traveling with me. I'll show you. I actually really like the bag. I feel like I've oh dear God in heaven. It was smoke show. It fell directly. Oh. You know what though? For falling as hard as it did, like it just fell from like 2.5 feet. None of the shades like busted, so. Color Mom! I'll show you the makeup bag that I've been traveling with for probably like the last like 8 months. It's actually, so this is the makeup bag right here. This is what I've been traveling with every time I leave, and it's been so nice. So it's got this little center part right here, as you can tell. And this is where I put all my brushes, my liners, my pencils, everything like that. And then each side, you can put so much makeup. Like this is a lot of makeup that I have in here. And then the other side as well, flip it down, and you've got all your products in there. It's so nice. You can fit a ton of stuff in here. I got this at Target maybe like 8 months ago, and I have been loving it. I take it everywhere with me. If I need to leave with my makeup, it fits everything I need and more. It's not just like super tiny, but it also fits because you can see the size of it. Seems really big, but I only ever travel with a carry-on and a backpack now. I don't do a check bag anymore because it's just overpacking at its finest. I just put this in my backpack, and it's pretty slim when it all zips up together. It's really nice. So if you guys are looking for one, I'll try to find it and link it in the description if I can, but I don't know if I can. You know what? I think I need a little tiny bit of bronzer in my eyes. Yeah, I needed like a little bit of color on my eyes. They just felt a little white. That's better. All right, my friends, that is the finished video. I hope you guys liked this video, that it wasn't too negative and all over the place. And I wonder, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Totally fine either way. It's everyone's personal opinion. And I just feel like with the amount of time I've been here doing makeup on YouTube and just the amount of makeup I've seen released lately, specifically 2019 has felt very overwhelming with releases. And I just think a lot of brands could just relax a little bit. I know that it's all about the bottom line and it's about doing as much as you can to stay relevant. And I know that that's got to be scary for a company to see somebody like ColourPop releasing all the time and feel that need to fill in those gaps within your own brand. But I think it cheapens the brands, it's overwhelming for the consumer, and ultimately I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong here and I'd be interested to know, I feel like it probably reduces the amount of each product sold when there are so many launches. Like, I wonder if there was more time in between launches with ABH products, if more of each item would have been purchased instead of just more items in general. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they would have sold like 100,000 of Norvina Volume 1 and then later on same for 2 and 3, but instead it was maybe like 60,000 of Volume 1, and then you know what I'm trying to say. So I wonder about that, but maybe I'm completely wrong and totally have no idea how the whole industry works. That's probably the case because I don't know the ins and outs of everything. Not everything's gonna be for everybody. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I would love to have you. I'll probably be doing more anti-haul style videos just as they come along. I've heard this a few times, like, oh, you're so negative, everything you say is so negative. I don't find that to be the case at all. I really don't. I mean, you can disagree with me if you want, but I think I'm critical, and that's really all I have to say about that. I think that sometimes things are just not always all good, and vice versa. Sometimes things are not always all bad, and that's why sometimes you'll see me do reviews and like I'll do 10 reviews in a row and be like, man, everything's been so good, because makeup really is good. And I'm sure the Norvina Volume 1, 2, and 3 and all the palettes that have released are all high quality, unless anything's like Subculture, which you guys know I didn't like, and I talked about that because it was just a random formula. I'm sure that they're all high quality. I've seen beautiful looks created with all of them, and if it's something that you've been waiting for, I think that go ahead. I think that like it's all up to artistic interpretation and also what people individually like, and I think I lean always in my life in every direction towards skepticism. That's all I want to say. So don't hate me. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you at my next video. Bye. It's not tea, it's coffee. Hey guys, so today, no, strike that, reverse it. The more that launches, the more I realize, hello? I think I recall somebody mentioning that they said that they were like where did I put those lashes? Okay, absolutely. Stop.